morning. So I wanted to take a moment to talk about self-myofascial release this morning, otherwise known foam rolling for a lot of people. And I see a lot of people do it pretty aggressively or kind of like for like 5 seconds and then stop, not necessarily knowing what benefit they should be experiencing, but knowing they should do it. So I figured we just talk about some of the different tools of self-myofascial release and then also just demonstrate some different techniques. So I want to start with my feet with the yoga tune-up balls. So they're just tiny, about the size of the lacrosse balls. That's like kind of the precursor to this being a commercial product would be in, athletes putting a lacrosse ball in a sock and working on their back against the wall. For me as a runner, and what I'm going to focus on today is actually my feet. So I might actually just take one of the tune-up balls out of the little pouch it comes in, and I'm just going to roll my foot on it. I'm just smearing across the tune-up ball. So it's nice and small. It definitely works for this size of surface, like your foot. Into some of your meatier tissues, it's going to be a little too small. It's going to kind of get lost. And then you're like, it's not really super effective. And that's what some of the bigger tools are for. But I was hiking about a month ago down in Patagonia. Luckily, I am out of my window of international travel, safety zone. So that's good at this time. But, we were backpacking for about 5 days. Pretty rugged terrain in my, hiking boots, wearing a pack. And after that, I started to have a little plantar fascia, annoyance. Not even pain yet, or not really a full-blown plantar fasciitis situation, just like a little bit of annoyance. And so I started with the tune-up balls right away, and, make sure I wear my orthotics and my running shoes always. But as this month went on, I ran a 50K, pretty rugged terrain again. Okay, so that was a little bit more annoyance. But what annoys it even more is like when I wear dress shoes with no support at all. If I go out to dinner or whatever and I'm wearing a pair of boots or whatever, not even heels, just like boots, but my arches don't have that support, and that's when my feet will get even more irritated. Fast forward to this past weekend, we've been having a ton of rain, and my shoes were caked with mud for several miles. I think it was a 9-mile run. And I was carrying all this mud and running kind of in these really awkward positions. The feet weren't flexing like they normally do. So that was kind of like the nail in the coffin. So now my foot's pretty irritated this last week, especially because I do a lot of teaching where I'm barefoot with yoga. Obviously, my hula hoop classes, I teach barefoot. I be barefoot as much as possible so that I don't have the support. So once it's irritated, then barefoot's pretty rough on me. Like yesterday, if I would have been doing that Tabata video on any normal day, I probably wouldn't have wore shoes even though I was jumping. But knowing I was going to be jumping, and knowing I was already dealing with this situation, I had to wear shoes, had to have my orthotics in. All right, so when you're experiencing tightness in your plantar fascia, obviously massaging out the plantar fascia, you can see the speed at which I'm going. I'm just pressing pressure, kind of just rubbing down and along, and a little bit across as well, kind of shearing across some of that tissue. But the tightness, that's kind of like the weakest man on the totem pole. That's where we feel the pain. That's where it's expressed. But tightness in your calf muscle, tightness in your hamstring can also pull here. And if you end up with tight calves and tight plantar fascia, the low man on the totem pole in the middle is going to be your Achilles tendon, and that's a real bummer because that could be even more painful. It could be potentially a much bigger problem. So the tune-up balls on the calf, I'm actually going to go back into the pouch and use both and roll out the calf. The other thing I like to do on the sole of the foot is I like to freeze a water bottle, like 3/4 of the way full, put it in the freezer, just like a standard, 16-ounce single-use plastic water bottle, which I don't have very often, but sometimes I use it for that. And I'll foam or like ice roll my foot on the water bottle, which is pretty cool. And that way you're getting your icing in, and you're getting the release as well. So in the calf, I'm going to go just nice and slow. I'm going to start really nice and low. And I mean, this feels amazing. I did ice my foot last night. I go to sleep with the ice pack on it sometimes, because otherwise I won't be able to fall asleep because it just has that tingly kind of awkward feeling. So just rolling nice and slow on the tune-up balls. Just kind of finding those little knots. And you can lay into those knotted up spots. Notice I'm not going super fast or like aggressively going back and forth over the length of the calf muscles. This takes some time, and take your time, especially right now. You've got time, so take your time and make this a self-care situation versus thinking of it as something that you're going through the motions with. But yeah, just feeling all of that loosen up feels really nice. And that, like I said, with the regular tune-up balls, up into the hip a little bit, depending, right? Maybe might get lost a little bit. Hamstring, totally lost. That doesn't work for me. So we're going to go into something bigger to get into those other areas. So this foam roller is like an open cell foam roller. This one isn't as firm. It might be nice on your back, or if you're really sensitive, just kind of tender, and the other foam rollers feel really aggressive for you, and you're like, oh my gosh, it's way too much. An open cell foam roller would be probably appropriate. It's just squishier. It's not as dense. This one is a closed cell foam roller. It's going to be much firmer. Okay, so this is much denser. For me, this would be perfect on my hamstring, my IT band. If they were really, really sore, then probably open cell. So starting with the hamstring, I'm just gently working, and I'm going to go side to side and kind of get in there a little bit. For me, the tightness tends to be a little bit more lateral. Okay, so I can start to feel that right away. And there's little spots in there. I can feel it all the way down to the sole of my foot. So gotta kind of take time to understand how connected all these tissues are, and allow yourself just to sit, hang out, talk to your family, sit on the floor, move the coffee table, sit on the floor and do your foam rolling. And if you have kids, it's a good opportunity to, if you're down on the floor, they're playing, you just got to give your toys too. So that is feeling awesome. Just kind of smearing across the IT band and the lateral hamstrings. Feels really nice. Awesome. And you can take as much time as you want with all of these different areas. So, and then getting into the glutes, going into kind of a figure four with the legs, so I'm opening up my hip a little bit more. Let's go lateral here so you can see that. I'm going profile. Crossing over, ankle over thigh, and then just a gentle rock to the side. Giving it just a little rock into the glute, right into the piriformis. Taking some nice deep breaths there. Just allowing it to open up gently. And then if you find a spot that's like, woo, baby, I feel that, lean into it. Just take some deep, deep breaths and lean into it. But again, really allow yourself to take your time. Awesome. Yeah, notice I'm barely moving, just rocking into it, real easy. All right, so that was our closed cell foam roller. So the other fun tools that I've gotten more recently, and this is a vibrating foam roller. This thing's pretty freaking amazing. So it's like massage, times 100. It's really great. Even on the lowest setting, it's pretty aggressive. So I'm going to start back at the calf with that and turn that on. Obviously you can hear that, right? It shakes my whole house. Crossing one foot over the other, I'm just going to go side to side. And again, starting low on the calf. So just adding that leg over the top, it's just adding a little bit of extra pressure, not a ton. My hips are still on the ground here. And slide up just a little bit, just working it inch by inch. spots in your shoulders or whatever. So we can talk about those at a later time. We're really going to focus on the legs here today. So again, this all started because of my plantar fascia feeling really tight or irritated. And notice most of what I'm doing, I'm working my leg muscles out to loosen up so it's not pulling in my foot. And my calves never really feel tight to the touch unless, I really get in there. But like the actual muscle is not like a rock, never. But that doesn't mean I don't still need to do this. Somewhere in there it's causing a pull. So I just have to dig in a little deeper and find it. That's feeling really nice. And this is just on the lowest setting, on the Vyper 2.0. On the hamstring, I'd probably go up one more. That's pretty loud. Coming into the IT band, a little bit here. Just really slow. Wow. So here the hips are off the ground. So a little bit of weight pressing down to my hands. Try to come up out of your shoulders as much as you can so we're not straining, right? Think about activating your hands against the ground. All the same rules that would apply anytime you're doing a yoga pose or any other exercise or expression with your body. Still pretty involved, right? And if your arms are just too fatigued to hold like that, probably drop down. Maybe you add a yoga block and drop to the forearms. Or just take a break. So this is just kind of the next level of using, see, shakes the whole house. This is kind of the next level of using a closed cell high density foam roller. This is kind of like amp it up one more notch. And then the last level of that is the HyperVolt gun. Same kind of thing, 3 settings. And this is pretty fun on the foot as well. So it's basically got that little tune-up ball on the end. And just really nice and slow, just working it out. And if it's too much, don't do it, Listen to your body. If it's already too tender, don't. That feels really good. Good. I'm going to do the same thing up in my calf. Obviously, body positioning on this stuff. A little funky, right? You gotta find the angle, find what's gonna work for you. So I'm sitting on the floor, so I'm just gonna go turn my leg out here. So I'm actually gonna work down into my Achilles a little bit, going up the length of the muscle. If you think about, if you've had good massage therapists and you think about the techniques they use, you're gonna apply those same techniques when you're working on yourself. So now this is one where it gets into my calf, where it's a little like, whoo, okay. So that's getting in there and really breaking up some of that fascia. And it kind of tickles. It's usually where if I'm getting a massage and the massage therapist working on my calves, I'm like kind of tapping out like, no, because it almost like tickles. But it needs to be broken up. And then doing the back of your own hamstring, pretty impossible. You'd have to have a friend or family member or a technician work on that for you, but I can get into my IT band here and probably out into my glute as well, which is where the most source of my tightness here is coming from. So here that's level 1. For this one, I'm going to, again, turn it up a little bit as I move up the leg. And I'm starting kind of low and working up to the origin, so starting down and moving up the muscle of the fascia, getting kind of behind, underneath. I just learned these HyperIce products are no longer sold on Amazon, so make sure you buy, if you're buying them, if you're spending the dough on the real deal, make sure you buy it from the manufacturer, because a client of mine just ordered one and realized this didn't seem right. It was making a lot of noise, and they called the manufacturer and they said, oh, we no longer sell on Amazon, you need to return that, that is not authentic. So there you go. So if you're going to do it right. That's the spot. I'm going to feel good today. And then getting into the outside of the hip as well. Pretty tough on your own. And mine's actually so tender, this is too much. I'm going to try to go back down to the lowest. Oh, there you go too. The lowest level. There we go. So by turning my knee in, disengaged here, but very little pressure, hardly any. So sometimes people are like, oh my gosh, why do you need so many tools or toys, however you look at them? And they all have a different purpose. So if you're kind of a gear junkie and have a house full of all of these things, you need to, you can show this video to your spouse or roommates or whoever to say, see, I'm not the only one. Awesome. Well, I feel so much better already. That's it. My hands are vibrating though. Have a wonderful day.